Hey, I'm Jill Munroe, an entertainment journalist, talk radio host, KBLA Talk 1580, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. But today we are here on Front Row Saturdays on my channel, and we are going to get into Draya Michele, now the designer, model, actress. Don't question it. She has some credits to her name. Don't even play with her. Is, getting hot, getting heat, right? Because she and her young boo, Jalen Green, he's 23 years old. He's playing for the Phoenix Suns this season. Last season, he was with the Houston Rockets, young upstart. They have a young daughter together, Light. She's 1 year old, and they were out at a festivity during Fashion Week, and drama popped off. Now, first up, listen, if you haven't seen the video, of course, I'm going to drop the video for you so you can check it out and see exactly what all the fuss is about. So let me pull that up because, people are giving Draya heat because why? She always is looked at as someone who is, out in those streets trying to get it in, trying to kind of have a come up. They talk about her past relationships. We know she was with Orlando Scandrick. She was with Tyrod Taylor. They fell out and had beef over the house. So she was living in the house. She got some repairs done to it. They broke up. She was remodeling it. He was like, get out my house. She said he agreed to sell it to her. She invested, or give it to her, perhaps. She invested, I think she said $250,000 on it. They didn't have any of it in agreement under contract. People were like, why can't her new man get her a place? Blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure what happened with that. I'll have to check into that. But right now, let's get into the video for Draya and Jalen tussling on the streets of New York. They got some good friends. I'll say that. Let's watch it. Oops, nope. Audio, but it sounds like he called her the B word and was like, I'll punch you, sock you, slap you right now, right? And of course, wrong spotlight, baby. Still having trouble with the spotlight thing. Let me get this together. All right, there we go. So of course, everybody is like, one, girl, what did you expect? He is out there looking like the mature one as you are chasing him down the street, having to be restrained. Two, he's 23 years old, the same age as her son. Yes, the same son that we have heard the story about repeatedly when he was, I guess, about 5 or 6, and she was still living out in Reading, but driving to Philly to, get her strip on in the club. Apparently, she left him at home alone and something happened. I can't remember how, but police were called. The house was a mess. There was stuff all over the place. He was showing them how he climbed up on the counter to microwave his dinners, and I believe she was arrested, but it was cleared up. But she's never been able to live that down. And so people are seeing this, and she's 40, and they've already been on her hard, calling her a PDF, saying that she groomed him, which is not exactly true. If you saw, they did a Q&A or an Ask Me Anything together, and he admitted that he slid in her DMs first. And you got to think about the era that we're in with social media and how Instagram models have been the standard, like how back in the 2000s and the 90s, there were video girls. Instagram models have replaced them as sort of a desirability factor. And, we don't really have magazines anymore and centerfolds and cover girls. It's Instagram. So, these guys are looking up and looking at these chicks and they're like, I'm going to get her. Now, the second thing, right? The second thing is that people also point to when their relationship came together. Now, they've been together since 2023. And I'm not sure if you recall, but there was a video that leaked of Jalen when he was in high school. And it was he and another player, and they were horsing around doing some horseplay. But there was something that some people felt was inappropriate. Maybe, some consider it a little gay, maybe. And so people have also felt like him getting with Draya, that whole relationship was perhaps, a bearding situation. No matter what, people felt it was highly inappropriate because he was the same age as her son. Now, on one hand, I feel like realistically, I'm not saying what your morals say, I'm saying realistically, right? Someone that is 18 or above, that's fair game. They're legal. You got to draw the legal line somewhere. But the other side to that is that maybe they're on the same level emotionally. I don't know. This looks a mess. This looks, no matter how you feel about it, it looks really bad for Draya. And she kind of acknowledged it. She posted on her Instagram stories this morning after it came out, because it came out at about 2 a.m. this morning, I suppose, East Coast time. And she posted, her putting on a mask in the hotel room. And you hear Jalen in the background, and they're having a pleasant, normal conversation. And let's not act like we haven't seen toxic couples that fight, get drunk at night, and then the next day, nothing happened. We do, but this is more shocking, obviously, because of the age difference. It's on a public street. And, he just got traded to a new franchise. So she could be messing with his money, acting like that, we know that if you think about what happened in the playoffs with Jalen, he kind of didn't show up. Not saying it has anything to do with Draya, just he was absent. And prior to that, he was looked at, especially his performance during the season when he was the one. You were like, he's the guy for Houston. He's next up. And then he just disappeared in the playoffs, and they were quick to ship him out. So you just wonder if maybe they weren't enthralled with what was going on outside. But who knows? Houston had James Harden for a period of time. I mean, there's lots of things. So can't really be that, but it could be. So we'll see what happens. She also, you saw the Jet 2 holiday thing. So she's, back in the day, what was that commercial? Was it a Snickers commercial? Want to Get Away, or Southwest? Whatever commercial that was. That's the moment I feel like she's in right now, because she knows she looks foolish, and she knows people are not going to let up on her. So we'll see what happens with that. Good luck to them with that. It's hard out here. It's hard for relationships in general. Then you got the public in it. Then you have to deal with whatever else y'all got going on, age difference. I'm going to be honest. Looks like maybe, he might have got caught doing something, looking in his phone. I don't know. We can speculate, but we'll never probably really know what happened. But I bet we won't see anything like that again. Okay, let's get into Drake. If you've been seeing these Drake clips, they're all over. He did an interview with Bobby Altoff. I think he's done another one. He's heavy into the streaming era right now. And the thing that is ironic about this is that he's doing these interviews to kind of reposition himself within the culture, right? I think musically he'll be okay. Nokia seemed to be ringing off. What's the last one? I can't remember the last one he just dropped, but that one seemed to, do pretty well. I'm not saying he's going to necessarily regain his run from the 2010s and so forth, but I think he'll be all right. However, if you're choosing to kind of address some of the things that have gone on over the past year or so, you probably should go to a podcast that features people of the culture. And granted, I know streaming is everything right now. If you've checked out Kai Cenat's, what is it, Mafia-thon 3, like some of everybody's been on there. Mariah Carey, Tiana Taylor, Kehlani, all sorts of people. But for Drake, I think that it was important that he should have gone to, somebody that is from the culture, somebody that can talk to him and ask him those questions and understand what's going on. You're talking to Bobby Adolph about how you felt when people said you were a culture vulture. Hello, that's not helping your case. That's not helping your argument. And it just kind of seemed like a misfire, right? Then take to it, Drake said that in this other interview recently that he doesn't give an F if these artists don't like his music, right? However, let's run the receipts, baby, because well, maybe you don't, but if you're learning, I like receipts. So 2013, Kendrick's Control verse came out. Remember, they had the cypher on the BET Hip Hop Awards. Drake was the only rapper that was a bit salty in those interviews after that came out. Kendrick, at the time at least, we didn't know specifically who or if he was talking to anyone because hip hop is braggadocious. And that's what people do. They talk ish, right? That's it. So that was then. We can think about 2023 with Joe Budden critiquing him about that album. Drake responded with a 5-page Instagram letter, like he was a Leah, which we know he is tatted on him. So that was interesting, but he says he doesn't care. And then he just posted Kai's hairline because Kai said he didn't feel like something was fire. So if he doesn't care, he certainly has built a career on dissertations on it. So I don't know. I mean, again, the people probably give him a shot, but he's got to start acting like he really understands the culture he says he's a part of. So, boy, you care. All right. Lastly, let's get into Jay-Z and Nas. So if you're unaware, New York has opened up a licensing process to put a casino in New York, basically giving New York a little bit of that Vegas sprinkle. Okay. So there are 3 licenses available, and 2 of the groups trying to obtain license in New York consist of 2 of New York's top hip hop rappers of all time, and who, by the way, at one point in time, were beefing with one another a little bit, right? So Jay-Z and Roc Nation plus Caesars and SL Green, which is an investment company, they are making a bid for a license at Times Square, 1515 Broadway, right? $250 million community fund, 0.5% of perpetual revenue to the West Side Community Fund. And they say it's going to bring thousands of jobs and all of those things. However, there's pushback from the Broadway theaters because of congestion concerns, of things that they will have to reconfigure to bring this casino in. And of course, the idea of what are we exposing, opening up our kids to? Not that, kids are really in Times Square, but I guess the influence with this casino opening. Gambling is, mark my words, gambling is going to be an even bigger problem than it has been, in the past, coming up in the future, because it's so accessible now, especially online. You think about things like all of the, different gambling networks. You just see what's going on, like with the NBA players that are getting in trouble for betting on games, baseball. But that's a side conversation. So that's what Jay-Z's group is, in a nutshell, offering. With Nas and Resorts World, they're trying to put a casino in Queens, right? $5 billion plus expansion, a full casino license, a luxury hotel, convention center, entertainment venue, green space, and they're saying local jobs as well. And it's positioned as a Queens legacy project. Remember, there's only 3 licenses available. And for New York Metro, there are 8 bids in total. 2 of them are from Jay-Z's group and Nas's group. I can't imagine that both will be rewarded a license, right? It's basically Ether versus Super Ugly again, but not really. You know, the bars are now billions though. So whoever wins the real jackpot is the community trust. And we all know that Jay-Z has been taking a little hit publicly as far as his public image. And is he really doing for the people in these ventures and things that he puts out? There's mixed commentary on that. There are a lot of people that are pointing to the deal when the Brooklyn Nets came in and Barclays Center and how that was not exactly up to par. So once again, we'll see what develops with it. And lastly, well, I think that is last. I think that that's all I wanted to talk about today. But, you know, shout out to the people that have popped in and out during this live. I know I was late. I apologize. It won't happen again. But I also want to know, and you can leave it for me in the comments, is this a good time for this live stream? I've been trying to figure out the time. I haven't really gotten through it. And of course, leave me your comments on Jalen and Draya. Is Draya out of order? Is it just a normal couple spat? Maybe they're a little lit. They are coming from a party during Fashion Week. Maybe they were just really lit and tempers flared, but he did call her a bitch. So I don't know. Drake, is he still taking the wrong approach with his path back? Because if you've been tracking any of the case with UMG, he's asking for some crazy stuff. And one would argue, and by one, I mean me, that he has benefited from the same system he claims he's trying to expose now. So why was it okay then, but now that you are not the benefactor of it, so you feel you want to turn it on its head? We'll see what happens. But thank you for tapping in. I appreciate you. I will be back next Saturday. I cannot talk today. I'll be back next Saturday. Time to be determined. Help me figure that out.